Uh, Dr. Mandeep, Adi, you've been made the co-host.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good
We
afternoon.
are there. I'm recirculating the link which you have already sent to me.
I'll send you the YouTube link also. You can circulate that in case the number of students is more. I'll send you the YouTube link also.
Okay.
They have sent the YouTube link also. Kindly share that in case because the Zoom can adjust 100 participants.
Yes, I understand. And I will be sharing that with the class. But as participants will become more, then only I will be sharing the Zoom link.
Done. Okay.
At the moment, we can see only 30 people are there. Good afternoon, Dr. Neelu.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
All good. It's 1 o'clock. I think it's the time to start for today's session. So, Dr. Pargat Singh, with your permission, should we start? We have both the resource persons with us.
Yes, Didi, we can go ahead. Dr. Pargat's not
Okay.
here, but we
Okay.
can go.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Fine. Very good afternoon to all the participants for today's workshop. I must congratulate to the organizing team of GHG Khalsa College of Education, Gurusar Sadhar, Ludhiana, for organizing this FDP, which is a collaborative activity of 9 colleges. So this is a great effort. I must congratulate to the colleges who have joined in this FDP from Mumbai, Ludhiana, Jalandhar, Amritsar, and even Jammu. So that's a commendable work which GHG Khalsa College has taken the initiative in collaboration with CTEF, that is Council for Teacher Education Foundation. For today's session, I have with me Dr. Neelu Verma and Dr. Raju Talareja. So I request our organizing team of Bombay Teachers Training College to take up the session. So I request Miss Titiksha Kabra to be introducing Dr. Raju Talareja and Shalki Tripathi introducing Dr. Neelu Verma. So I welcome students organizing team of Bombay Teachers Training College, Mumbai, Kolaba, HSNC University.
Thank you, Mandeep, ma'am. So I am Ms. Titiksha Kabra, and I'll be introducing Raju, ma'am. So Dr. Raju Talreja, an educationist, holds a MPhil in education and is a double postgraduate in commerce and education. Her interest in educational technology led her to complete her doctorate on implementing the technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, also known as TPAC model, on pre-service teachers. She has completed her postgraduate diploma in management of education. With a teaching experience of over 19 years, I'm sorry. She has international and national paper publications to her credit. She has completed a minor research project from University of Mumbai related to study on transgender. Currently, ma'am is pursuing a minor research on digital literacy funded by HSNC University. She has edited Conference Proceedings ISBN books. Madam has also organized national and international conference and seminar. An enthusiast to implement various pedagogies and technology, she has conducted training program for school teachers and degree college teachers. She tries out various pedagogies by guiding lessons of pre-service student teachers, which they implement at higher secondary level. A firm believer that every classroom is a unique learning community with differential needs, which can be met by creating spaces for cooperation, collaboration, and values. And well, this is just a gist from a long list of works and achievements that Raju ma'am has. We are indeed graced by your presence, ma'am. With this, I would now like to invite Ms. Shalki to please introduce Dr. Neelu Verma. Thank you.
Thank you, Titiksha, and good afternoon to one and all present here. Uh, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Neelu Verma, an inspiring educator with over 15 years of experience shaping young minds. Her passion for English literature and education excels the classroom, reflected in her expertise in teaching English pedagogies, 21st century skills, and mindfulness. Dr. Verma fosters a stimulating environment where aspiring teachers blossom, evident in her dedication to her student success. With her knowledge and skills, Bombay Teachers Training College has given talented gems in the society. Beyond being a teacher educator, Dr. Verma is a prolific researcher and a scholar. Dr. Verma shares her knowledge through published papers, conference participation, and edited books. Her research delves into mindfulness and digital literacy, empowering educators to navigate an ever evolving world of teaching. Dr. Verma's commitment extends a far and wide range. She has served on prestigious schools, selection panels, mentored in-service teachers, and held esteemed positions like member of the Board of Studies at HSNC University. Her impact is undeniable, leaving a legacy of empowered teachers and shaped future of education. The list is, I had less time to describe her, but the list is endless, and I'm blessed and I'm honored to introduce her. Thank you.
Thank you, Titiksha, and thank you, Shalki, for wonderful introduction of your teachers. So I request now Dr. Raju Talareja and to Dr. Neelu Verma. Session is over to both of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. We immediately begin, and thank you for the lovely introduction to our students also.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
All right, before we begin, yes, the FDP is on open educational resources. And in this session, we will be trying to cover how OERs can be integrated in e-learning. Y'all past 6 days, y'all have been listening to what are OERs, how can they be used, how can they be created, how to use it in teaching learning process, which are the available OERs, and I'm sure many of y'all must be using OERs in your regular teaching learning process also. We begin by a quick recap of what actually is OER. I request all my participants to please join at slido.com. It will ask you a code. The code is displayed on the screen. There's a QR you can scan and join in over there. So the first question, it's of course an MCQ, that what is an OER? All right, freely accessible educational material. Yes, OERs are inclusive of educational material. Okay. None of you all have written down open licensed, and OERs open licensed also. Can I have a Y or N in the chat, please? You all had the option of choosing multiple things. Yes, I had some replies. Very good, very good. Yes, it's a Y. Yes, so all your OERs are also open license. That is, we can use it freely as long as you all must have taken up the Creative Commons licensing. So as long as the attribution and the other licensing are followed. But yes, OERs are inclusive of educational material. They are open licensed and they are freely accessible to be used by anyone in the educational field. Continue, please. This is the next question. What kind of resources can be included as OER, or which ones are you using in your teaching learning process? A single word can be typed in. Many resource persons have shared with you all that what are the different types of resources which can be included in OERs and which you all have been also using. Yes, we have videos, we have ebooks. All right, we have one more response as ebooks. All right, many of you all I feel are using ebooks. Yes, in educational subjects, yes, we use different resources which are of the nature as OER, which we can use. Yes, it can be text form. Text form can be shared with your students and to in general public in a Word doc, in a, okay. Many of you all have written ebooks. All right, if we see, yes, OERs can be shared in the form of modules. Journal articles are also open access. Journals are there where we can cite and refer different research articles. All right. Yes, yes. So there are different forms of resources which can be included as OERs. The last question. Which of the following list includes the 5 R's of OERs? It has to be in a particular order. Even if we don't follow the chronological order, but there are 5 R's which makes a resource as an OER. A single correct response out of these 4. All right. The 5 R's which are, I would say, which are the characteristics of an OER are, we can retain the OER in its original form, we can reuse them, revise the OERs, remix the same OER, or we can have a mixture of 2 different OERs and we can redistribute the OERs for the benefit of the teaching learning process or for the benefit of the general society. So eventually, now let us see what exactly is an OER. OER is, of course, freely accessible and open licensed educational materials, which institutions, individual teachers, educators, general public, they can use, adapt, and share. These resources, which you all have already mentioned it, are textbooks, lesson plans, quizzes, and various other multimedia content which are freely available in the market and which can be used in order to enhance the teaching learning process. And these openness of the resources are determined by what kind of license that OER has, which helps the individual who intends to use the OER, which help them to keep in mind the 5 R's which we have already seen or which you all have given me the response of. So basically, OERs are the freely accessible and open licensed educational material which can be used for the teaching learning process. So when we talk about OERs which are released under the open license, they permit other individuals to reuse and adapt it. So according to Willie, OERs give the users 5 legal permissions, which you all have already stated as the 5 R's. May I request Neelu ma'am?
Yes, I'll take over. Good afternoon to everyone, and I'm sure I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So the first one, as you can see on the screen, is a legal permission to retain the resource that you have as what you know it as open educational resource. So you can retain the resource, and what is basically retained is the fact that you and I, all the users who are using OERs, they have the right to make and control the copies of the OER for their own use, which means that individuals like you and I using OERs, we can keep a personal copy of the material which is usable for a long-term use or access or reference. For example, students or teachers, they generally download and keep a copy of an open textbook. You mentioned ebooks as an open educational resource. So you can keep these open resources like textbooks for your future reference. That is what is the first permission that you have. You can retain, you can make your own material, you can copy the material, and you can retain it with yourself for future use. The second one is reuse. Reuse basically means that users have the right to reuse that particular resource in their own way, especially in an unaltered form also. Reuse is in an unaltered form, which means that you can use the material for your intended purpose to achieve your learning objectives in the classroom without making modifications to the content, to the resource. Like when you download an ebook, you as a teacher can use that open textbook in your classroom without any alterations. So that's reusing the content. Revise is the right to adapt, to adjust, to modify, or alter that particular content that you can download and keep it with yourself as an OER. So you can modify or adapt to suit your specific needs, the subject that you are teaching, the topic that you are teaching. You may need some modifications. So you can revise that particular resource and use it. These may be changes that you can make in the structure of the resource, the format, the structure, the content. You may add or edit the content material. For instance, as a teacher, you might customize a particular lecture slide, or you can customize a particular text form that you have, which is an open access text. So you can make changes to it as per the curriculum, as per the syllabus of your particular subject and classroom. Remix is the fourth permission that you have in the series of 5 Rs. Remix, it's the literal meaning. So users like you and I can combine or mix different OERs and create something new. So you can also add your own content to it in order to create a newer or a more fascinating content or a more relevant content. So this allows your creative combinations of your existing resource that you have downloaded and something that you have created or something that you've downloaded from some other resource. So it's like a combination, it's remixing, it's basically intended for educational purposes. So remixing is allowed. The basic intent of remixing is to create something which is more helpful for students and teachers and is more comprehensive. The last one is redistribute, which is a right to share copies of the original content, revisions or remixes with the others who also might need the same content or similar content. And they can also use all these permissions of revision or of remixing, etc. So redistributing allows a user to share the original content or the modified content with others. Now, what will you share? You may share something that you have created or something that you've borrowed from somebody with another student, with another teacher colleague who also may need the same content in her classroom. So the idea basically is that when you're teaching in a particular class, you might need it for a similar class, or you might need it a little higher or a lower level of a similar content in some other classroom also. So as teachers, it really helps us to mix and redistribute the open educational resources. So overall, these 5 permissions really help us as teachers. There's no need of asking or seeking permissions from anybody because it is open source content. It is an open educational resource. So you have these permissions with you. We are not talking about the licenses here, but the permissions. All right, this is the next slide, which indicates the significance of OERs. There's a lot that has been talked about by other resource persons with reference to OERs, and I'm sure none of these pointers have been missed out, but to consolidate, we'll quickly go through this slide. Number 1, since they are open resources, since they are not charged, so it eliminates the financial barriers. and it provides free access to high quality learning materials. We call them as high quality materials because we know that these have been created with a lot of precision as per the need and requirement of the students and researchers, etc. They've been researched a lot, and that's how they are, they are left to be used and utilized in public domain, from where we actually get access to them freely. So they are high quality materials, and they eliminate financial barriers because you're hardly spending anything. You're just using your internet to access these. OERs reduce the cost of educational materials, making materials more affordable for students, making education overall more affordable for students. Sometimes you might have to spend a little as teachers to create those resources. Sometimes you might have to, when the open educational resources also will need a few accesses, in the sense that you would need a high bandwidth of internet to download, and you would need storage to save these resources. So there is a little cost involved there, but that's not intended to be the cost for the OER. So overall, it reduces your cost of access to good quality education and educational materials. Educators can adapt and customize OERs to suit the specific needs of their students and align with their teaching methodologies. Sometimes I may take a lesson, for example, I'm trying to take a classroom with through a blended learning mode or a flipped classroom, and I want my students to get access to resource material, read it at home, and come back to my class. So I need that material. I may not have enough time to create that material all by myself, so I can have access to an OER. I can get that material. I can, tweak that material a little bit, and I can easily give it to my students. So customization, adaptation, all these things are very, very easily possible for OERs, and it also suits my teaching methodology. OER encourages collaboration amongst educators by providing a shared platform for the creation, sharing, and improvement of educational materials, and also the way of transacting. For example, just now Raju ma'am used Slido, and you all got access to some content, and you all enjoyed also because it was an interactive way of, interaction was possible because of that open educational resource. So here also, you have the possibility to share, to collaborate, to exchange the materials, and make your educational platform a little more engaging and effective. OERs allow educators to experiment with innovative teaching methods and technologies. You can also call it as an innovative method of involving students right away. In higher education, all students have their portable gadgets. Everybody has a mobile, so it's easy to get access to all the OERs. Most of the OERs are available in a format which can be accessed through a mobile phone. OERs can be accessed globally, transcending geographical boundaries. That's really very true. Technology does not limit itself through boundaries. And so what I share with my students here can definitely be shared with any other student residing anywhere in the world. So there's no limitation per se, and it's everything that happens here can be easily accessed by anybody else across borders. And whatever researches, etc., are published or shared with researchers and teachers out of the country, they can also have, we can also access those very easily. OERs support lifelong learning by providing resources for individuals seeking to acquire new skills or knowledge throughout their lives. We all have heard of the Swayam platform. We all have heard about many other such platforms which provide a lot of content to people irrespective of their age. So whatever profession they might be from, whatever age group they might be, irrespective of all of that, access is given freely to all of those. So these OERs are, they are also heavily supporting the content. They are heavily supporting the concept of lifelong learning, which is what we, as educators, we always want. Education is something that goes on for life. You cannot just stop learning anywhere. So go on increasing your skill sets, etc., by having access to OERs. Open licenses associated with OER, such as Creative Commons licenses, provide clear permissions for users to reuse, remix, and redistribute content. This legal framework facilitates the open sharing of knowledge. Today in this session, we are not discussing in detail the licenses, but I'm sure somebody else might have already discussed these with you. So it's basically a way of limiting access. So, sometimes you may need some permissions for which you may not have to spend money also. So there are these different licenses which are important also, and these are available. OER contribute to sustainability in education by reducing the environmental impact associated with traditional print materials. We all know about this, that when we print, we are compromising with sustainability. We are compromising with the environment, because paper is definitely made out of natural resources. And so if we have freely accessible content available to us through technology, it also limits the use of paper and hence becomes a little more sustainable in nature. So these are the reasons why we very easily switch to e-resources and open resources. To you, Raju ma'am.
Yes, thank you. E-learning, yes, we are trying to integrate the different OERs in the e-learning setup, where it can be a virtual classroom, of course, equipped with technology, pedagogy, and instructional practices together. So when we talk about e-learning, it's not only giving or sharing text or a PDF or any other resource with students online. But yes, there is a pedagogy behind it. There is some instructional practice, some instructional objective behind that. And nowadays we see the higher education scenario where e-learning is widely used. All over the world, also we can see that when we talk about e-learning, the OERs are very helpful in order to connect with the students. When the session is a purely online session, we can make use of OERs in that e-learning process. And at the same time, when we are offering the courses in a blended mode, that time also OERs come into assistance or come into place. So when we combine these two concepts together, it helps us to achieve our educational objectives in a much better way, reducing the cost which is there for transacting the teaching learning process, or even acquiring the educational content, and overall which leads to the better improvement in the quality of the instruction that is provided. In order to go a little bit insight into what is e-learning, we request you to please join the Padlet link, where we would like to know that we are on the same page, what is online learning and what is e-learning. Neelu ma'am has shared that in the chat link. You all can just click in the Padlet. Again, use of OER, judiciously used by Neelu in order to know whether we are on the same page or not.
I'm sure the screen is visible.
Yes.
So we request you to go on this page and write a sentence about your understanding of e-learning, which we just saw Raju ma'am telling you, and what is online learning. Let's see if you can write something about that. All right, keep typing. E-learning, you say, is using digital tools to make learning fun and engaging. It's learning through computers, electronics. Okay. Also write a line about what did you think is online learning. We'll take around, say, 1.5 minutes more for everybody to write about their understanding of e-learning and online learning. And then we'll take up the discussion regarding that. These terms are very often used by all teachers and students. So it's important that we understand the little difference between both. Online learning, you say, is easy accessibility, global platform, standardized learning. E-learning is learning beyond geographical limits. Okay. So is it so that online learning is not learning beyond geographical limits? Does it limit you in any way? And on the contrary, when you say, okay, removes boundaries of distance. Now, this is more or less similar. Learning beyond geographical limits, removing boundaries of distance. And for both, we've got that. Learning through electronic means, which includes internet and digital technology for e-learning. And here we can differentiate online learning as we had learning in COVID. Okay. You are okay. Online learning helps people from all backgrounds to learn. And so also e-learning, it seems.
All right, ma'am, should
Yes.
we go ahead?
Yes, we'll go ahead.
32, so we have to stick to time.
Yes.
Yes, the last post you can just.
It's e-learning is use of advanced technology for interactive sessions with students. All right. I'll stop this share and go back to the presentation to take up.
Yes, so now this is the difference between e-learning and online learning. So when we talk about e-learning, the teachers, we do not conduct live lectures, but we provide materials making use of OERs or pre-recorded video lectures. Whereas in online learning, the live sessions, not many, but very few live sessions are conducted so that the give and take or the query solving is immediate in an online environment. Students go through the material on their own, which is provided through the e-learning platform. And when we talk about online learning, all your e-learning platforms also have the provision of online learning, be it Moodle, be it Canvas, be it Schoology, be it Blackboard. These different platforms which we use in our regular teaching learning process, the LMSs, even the Google Classroom widely used, where there is a part of online learning where the live sessions can be conducted with your students. If we are using a Google Classroom, yes, the Google Meet can be used in order to conduct the live sessions. But then there is not much difference between these two, a very fine line of difference between these two terms of e-learning and online learning. Since live sessions are conducted in an online session, the teacher and the students are expected to be there synchronously communicating with each other. Whereas when we talk about e-learning, asynchronous communication takes place. And when the students go through that pre-recorded material, educational material, which you have shared with your students, if they have any questions or if they have any doubts, they post it in the discussion boards which you have created in your platform. And when you get a bit of time, you try to solve those queries. which is not the case when we talk about an online session or online learning. So the students can ask direct questions at the same time. The queries are resolved by the teacher synchronously because both the teacher and the students are present during that time. This was just a brief line of difference when we talk about e-learning or online learning. Now, how do we find OERs for e-learning? Request you all to go to this game, a small game of filling the blanks, which will tell us the factors which we have to consider when we are choosing or when we want to utilize any OER for e-learning process. Okay, I stop sharing. I'll share the link with you all in the chat. And I'll see the results also. Right now, what is happening, whether we are e-learning or online learning? We can have it in the chat, E or O. Okay. All right, I have one response. Both. All right, Siddhant has told both, yes. Learning is taking place through electronic media, and since both of us, you all and we are synchronous together, the doubts and the queries are solved immediately. So we are in an online learning session also. All right, none of you all have finished the activity as yet. We wait for a few minutes, probably 2 minutes. You have to drag the missing word in that particular blank. The options can be shuffled here and there, but it will not accept because it will be in a particular order. So do not get okay, this is not correct. Yeah, even if the order is up and down, it will give you as an incorrect response, but that's not the case.
At least one of you try and finish it fast so that we can proceed further.
Yes.
We can show the result then.
All right, you all can continue together. Let's see the thing, what it is. All right. So when we search for a OER, which we plan or which we intend to use for our e-learning or an online session, these are the different factors that we have to consider before we choose that particular OER. One, there was a session with you all on the Creative Commons license. So whenever we are using OER, we have to make sure that we are using it legally and ethically, giving proper attribution at the same time, to the author, original author, through which we have taken up probably a few content or we have used that in our teaching learning process. These factors are to be kept in mind. You also have to check that your OER should fit the format and the OER is compatible to your e-learning platform. Whichever platform you are using, you have to be sure that your OER is compatible and the format matches the platform which you are intending to use. At the same time, we have to check that the quality of the OER should be relevant and it should be relevant to meet your learning objectives, keeping in mind who is your audience and in what context are you planning to use the OER. You have to make sure that the license and the credits also are, you give credit when you are making use of the OER. So in this way, these are the different factors that we have to keep in mind whenever we are trying to integrate an OER into our e-learning process. So if you see, okay, if you see that there are two wrong answers, but yes, it's okay. So we go back to our, I don't know how many of you all were able to play the game, but yes, the different factors are to be kept in mind whenever we talk about using OER or integrating OER in our e-learning platform. Now we move on to how do we integrate the OER into the e-learning. When we talk about e-learning environments, they are enhanced by the use of OER because OERs are freely accessible and we can remix, we can reuse, we can redistribute, and we can also re-adapt. We can adapt it to our educational context as well as content. So there are various ways in which we can integrate an OER into the e-learning platform, whichever platform you are using for e-learning purpose. You have to leverage your OER platforms when we make use of the OER. OER provides us variety of educational materials, of course, intended to use. So when we use platforms like OER Commons and Connections, they are having a user-friendly interface where we can discover, share, and organize the OER content if we can relate it to the 5 R's which we had previously seen. When we tend to integrate the OER, we can adapt an existing OER where we can customize the OER in order to meet my requirements of that particular course. So this may involve, I modify the text. You all have mentioned the text as an OER resource. We can add multimedia, or I restructure the content, which many of us do that when we make use or when we try to integrate the OER in our e-learning. OERs can be easily embedded in the e-learning platforms. We'll show you practically how we have done it in our institution. So when we use or when we try to integrate OERs in the e-learning platform, we can embed the OER in the learning management systems. We are making use of very different terms, LMS, there is CMS and e-learning and online learning and web-based learning. These all are terms which are related to each other. They have connections with a very, very, very fine line of difference. So when we talk about e-learning, in order to e-learning to happen, we make use of a platform which would be ideally in an educational context, we make use of the LMS. So when we make use of LMS, we can embed the various OERs Of course, you have to keep in mind the factor whether it is compatible, whether we have the proper permissions, whether we can integrate that or no. Ruchi ma'am, you have a question? A hand was raised.
No, ma'am, sorry, it was by mistake.
Yeah, all right, all right. You can also create your OERs by adapting an already existing OERs for doing assessments or giving assignments to your students. You have to encourage your students in order to engage with that OER so that the assessments and the assignments can be done and the students learn and co-create the OER along with you. It is not only limited to teacher using the OER, adapting the OER. OER can be co-created along with your students. So this will, of course, promote active learning and critical thinking among your students.
Yeah, I'll take over.
Yes.
Coming back again to how students can contribute to development of OERs and encouragement of e-learning is by allowing them to contribute to the OERs. And the students can definitely create their extra content. They can add annotations, and also they can look for additional OERs available to them related to the course topic. So they can definitely post those content materials or download and send them to the teachers. You share them with the other users of that particular course. And that's how they can also contribute to the OER. They facilitate OER discussions. See, on these e-learning platforms, there are discussion forums, and OERs can definitely be used as a foundation for discussions and collaborative activities. So posing questions related to OER content and initiating group discussions, or allowing them to post their own ideas, brainstorming, etc. And this is how learners can share their insights and their perspectives related to the topic. For example, we just had Padlet, and you all shared your content, your ideas with us. Providing OER supplementary materials. Now, supplementary traditional course materials with relevant OERs can offer additional readings, videos, interactive videos, etc. from OER repositories to provide learners with diverse perspectives and resources. So there's a lot of material. Some material you may call it as your main course material. Some additional material can be termed as your supplementary course material, which is like how you have a main course book and how you have reference books. Here, you can also conduct workshops or webinars to educate instructors and learners on the benefits of OERs, can provide guidance on finding how to use and attribute the OERs effectively. So workshops on these can also be taken through e-learning platforms. So overall, by strategically incorporating OERs into your e-learning platforms, educators like us can create a more dynamic, engaging, and accessible learning experience for our students, and which is the in thing nowadays. The traditional classroom is now something that is supplementary. The main focus of teaching learning activities has now shifted to technological based learning. Integrating OERs in multimedia presentations. Here you can embed videos. Raju ma'am was talking about that, and she'll also take you through the LMS, the e-learning platform that she maintains. Embed videos, images, interactive elements from OER repositories to enhance the visual appeal and engagement of e-learning materials. There are a lot of resources, pictures, videos, GIFs, etc., which are available for free, and they serve as very good resources for some of the topics that we teach. So very easily they are available to us and we can make use of them. Promote OER accessibility. We must ensure that OERs are used in e-learning courses. They are accessible to all the learners. So that is the reason why we should choose resources with clear navigation, with readable text, and with compatible multimedia elements to enhance inclusivity. Basically, there's a lot available. What you choose, what you narrow down your search to, and how you make use of it is something which is very important. So you can't make use of any resource which is available, and it's just because it's free, so you can make use of it. But we have to actually understand what is of use to us and for whom are we targeting that content. Facilitate OER remixing. So encourage instructors to remix and adapt OER materials based on their teaching styles. This is what I was also talking about earlier. So two more important things here during the teaching process are the teaching style of the teacher and the learning style of the learner. So some content, some OER, some resource that matches these both should be the one that should be taken. And that's why the flexibility of OERs, they are so easily customizable, and you can personalize them to your own course needs, student needs, classroom needs. And so select OERs which are more easily, or the ones which have a very high USP, something which is user friendly. So all those OERs are more in vogue. They are more used. Provide clear attribution and licensing information. Sometimes if you get confused that how to manage this particular resource, or when you are as a teacher or as a student, when you do not know the clear guidelines related to an OER, you would probably just drop it because there's a lot available. And that's why when you create your own OER, or when you're using an OER, it should be a clear communication between you and the user. And that's why these attributions, licenses, etc., they matter. And this ensures, basically it ensures compliance with licensing terms and promotes ethical use of the OERs that you are making use of.
I am sure all of you all are using different platforms. Right now in our institution, we are using Canvas for interacting with our students, not only for the online learning, but yes, we make use of the platforms for even the blended learning. And these different OERs are also used in our regular teaching learning process. In the classrooms, our students, for the learning purpose, they are allowed to use their mobiles. Right now, how did you all interact with the game or with the Slido? We do that in a regular face-to-face interaction with our students, where we allow them to use the mobiles in order to have this kind of blended learning, where a judicious blend of online and offline resources are made in order to enhance the learning which we want in our students. So when we talk about an e-learning platform, we had Moodle with us, widely used for quite a number of years. Now we have tried out at using Canvas, and our university is now developing its own LMS, which soon will be functional in a few time from now. So that's why right now we are using the Canvas as a e-learning platform with our students. So if you see here, this is the course which is offered regularly as assessment for learning, which we tell our students to submit their assignments on this platform. And as a teacher, I can have the assignments of all the students together in this particular platform, which helps me to give the grades in a very easy manner. And when we talk about the OERs that we are sharing with our students through this e-learning platform is, of course, if you can see here, there is a PPT, the presentation which we use in the class in case some student is absent on a particular day. So that student has access to that presentation in this platform. The reference materials, the PDFs are provided to the students in order to enhance their learning. The games are also there in order to engage them. If it is not there in the regular face-to-face interaction, the students can go through this and they can be engaging in the learning process in case they miss the class. So the different OERs in different formats are shared with the students. And when we talk about the assignments which are there, where we had spoken about integrating it through embedding that OER in our LMS. So when we talk about this flip grid, if you see the student, once they open up that particular assignment, the assignment is there in front of them. Because this OER called as flip grid, where we have the video responses of our students, this flip grid is created on portfolio. It's one of the concept in assessment for learning. So I wanted to give them assignment based on portfolio because they are going to create their own portfolios. So when the student clicks on the assignment is there in front of them. They continue with this and they record their video response in this particular LMS. Along with the flip grid, the other which OER which we have integrated in our LMS is the Edpuzzle. We will be using Edpuzzle with you all also tomorrow. So it's not only limited to, like say, when we have a face-to-face interaction, or it is a closed LMS right now where the access is only for our students. But yes, these OERs can very well be integrated when we have an online session. So the Edpuzzle is also integrated. It is embedded in this particular platform. It's when the students go to this, they get started, and they go ahead and they put in their names, they watch the video, they put their answers in the video itself. And those answers can be accessed by the teacher later on whenever she is correcting or grading the assignments. So in order to embed or in order to integrate any OER in a particular LMS or in a particular platform, for this canvas, you need only two things. You need the consumer key and you need the shared code, which is available in that particular OER. For example, right now we have shown you all Flipgrid and Edpuzzle. These two OERs have the consumer key and the shared secret code, which I can simply copy and paste it over there. All right, I show you how have we done this. How have
Dr.
we
Raju,
yeah,
I
ma'am, just
request
2
you
minutes.
to,
Yeah.
yes, maximum 5 minutes, which is inclusive of your question and answer round.
Yes,
Also.
last 2 minutes, ma'am, just 2 minutes. So if you can see here, there's an external apps which we can integrate. I just click on this plus app and the consumer key and the share secret. You only have to fill in these two, the name and all those other things are there, and you submit it, and that particular OER is integrated in your LMS, which can be accessed by with whom have you shared that. So in this manner, there are various ways in which the OERs can be integrated in the e-learning. We have touched upon e-learning as a part of where we are using e-learning through a LMS, through a platform. There are various ways in which the OERs can be integrated into this broad term of e-learning. We stop here for the day. Thank you so much for this session. We thank the organizers plus the participants also who have been encouraging enough to interact with us. And now we are open for any questions which are there coming across.
Thank you so much, everyone.
So all the participants, the portal is open, platform is open to you. You are allowed to be putting your microphone on. So please unmute yourself and take up the questions. You can please quickly post it on the chat also if you. So we are very thankful to Dr. Raju, Dr. Neelu, and they still have one more session for tomorrow. Thank you for accommodating your session for today. And I request Mr. Siddhant Hazare for quick vote of thanks to Dr. Raju and Dr. Neelu within 1 minute. We have the next resource person on the portal. So Mr. Siddhant, formal vote of thanks over to you.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry, just a bit of a correction. Mr. Aryan Chavan is going to go ahead with the vote of thanks. I'll introduce the next person. Yes.
Aryan, yes, Aryan Chavan, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Good afternoon, all. I, Aryan Sawan, on the behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, would like to give a formal vote of thanks to our resource person for the session. I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Neelu Verma ma'am and Dr. Raju Kalareja ma'am for this engaging session. Dr. Raju ma'am, starting with an activity was enough to grasp our attention and got us geared up for what was to come. Your use of technology during the session kept us engaged as always and has helped us reinforce on what we learned. Dr. Neelu ma'am and her crystal clear knowledge about what she wanted to share with us made it very easy to solidify the significance of OERs and why we should make proper use of it. Raju ma'am, thank you for helping us to understand the fine line between e-learning and online learning and for showing us how we can integrate OER into an e-learning platform. To both of you, we will be sure to retain what we have learned today, reuse as and when required, revise and remix with our peers, and as upcoming teachers, redistribute with those in need. Thank you for inviting us today and giving us this opportunity to learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We leave the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neelu. Thank you,
ma'am.
Dr. Raju. You can leave the session. So we continue for the next session for today. See you both tomorrow once again.
Thank you.
And so the next session, Dr. Deepa Verma is with us on this platform for today's second afternoon session of this FDP. So I request Mr. Siddhant, please introduce Dr. Deepa Verma. And madam, I request you if you can please put on your camera. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Deepa Verma to you all. Dr. Deepa Verma is a multifaceted educator with an illustrious career spanning 21 years. She holds an extensive academic background with MSc in Botany, PhD in Botany, B.Ed, MA in Education, MPhil in EVS, MBA in HR, MA in Psychology, and a Master in Social Work. She currently serves as the Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator at Viva College of Arts and Commerce, Arts, Commerce and Science in Virar, Maharashtra. Her commitment to educational excellence extends beyond her primary roles as she is the NAC coordinator at a taluka level and also coordinator for Palghar district of the prestigious Avishkar Research Convention by University of Mumbai. With a strong commitment to mentorship and counseling, she is a certified career counselor and a counseling psychologist, actively contributing to UNESCO's Open Education for Better World mentoring program. Dr. Deepa Verma also has prolific research contributions comprising over 25 published papers and over 20 presentations at national and international conferences. She has also won awards for her research work. Furthermore, she plays a pivotal role in shaping academia as a member of the University of Mumbai's Board of Studies in Bioanalytical Sciences and as a mentor guiding PhD candidates in botany. We are privileged to have her here to share with us her extensive knowledge.
Thank you so much. Just give me a minute's time. I'm facing a little problem in switching on my video. So thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. If the participants allow, I'll be just connecting 2 minutes time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. We are waiting. So, Dr. Deepa Verma will be taking up the session on quality concerns and challenges in using OER. So we are waiting for her. She will be joining soon.
Dr. Mandeep, in the meantime, we can just give them an idea of tomorrow's sessions. So, dear participants, tomorrow we have one session which will be jointly taken by Dr. Raju and Dr. Neelu. And in the second session, that is around 2:15, we'll be starting with the valedictory session. So I request all the participants to be there for the valedictory session, where there will be interaction sessions and the glimpses of the previous sessions. These will be shared by the esteemed principals of the collaborating institutions. So you all are requested to be there for the valedictory session also tomorrow. We have we'll have one session by Dr. Raju and Dr. Neelu, followed by the valedictory session tomorrow. Yes, so that was just an idea for tomorrow's program schedule. There was a little change which was not earlier mentioned in the brochure, so I wanted to give you an idea regarding that. Thank you, Dr. Mandeep. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Manu, and time well utilized for announcing tomorrow's events, the flow of events. And I must request all the colleges who are putting up the report, because the Google Drive link has been shared with all the IQAC coordinators. So that report and session report of all the colleges should be ready by today evening, and it should be submitted to the organizers so that tomorrow, before the valedictory program is there, the report and the flow of events which had been announced should go smoothly, and report reading and the presentation of all the sessions, how it had been conducted, should be ready well in time by the organizing team. So Dr. Deepa, if you are ready, session is all for you. Madam, please unmute yourself. You are still muted.
I'm so sorry. I hope now I'm visible. A little
Yes, ma'am.
certain last minute mishaps taking place at with respect to internet and technology, and see how we all have become close and so dependent on the technology for all our requirements. Yet we have to overcome those challenges when it comes to technology. And I guess before I begin with the session, I just want to say I'm connected to two systems. A system where my laptop isn't working with respect to camera. I was supposed to present from there. So there is a possibility that I may be sharing my slides from the laptop, and I'll be talking on my mobile phone over here. So my apologies if there is any inconvenience to participants. What we are here is something that I would like to know, because for the last so many odd days, like from 29th of November, participants are learning a lot about OER. So I would appreciate if participants can tell me what is their understanding of OER. You can unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat box, because it becomes easy.
The participants can unmute themselves. They've been enabled to unmute themselves. So the participants, you can unmute yourself to respond to ma'am's query, answer questions.
Okay. Assuming that the participants have fair knowledge about. Madam, can you just enable my screen sharing?
Ma'am, yes, you are the co-host. You can do that.
So, Dr. Deepa, please check maybe on your other device, co-host rights are given to you. So, on this device, if you tell us the name, we can make that also co-host.
Both the devices are by the same name, Dr. Deepa Verma only.
Okay.
I'll just check.
Yes.
I'll just check, ma'am. I'll just check. Ma'am, you are the co-host through a device, Dr. Deepa Verma.
I've joined with one mobile and one with my laptop.
But I can just see one of them, ma'am.
So, Dr. Deepa, where you are from the laptop, probably your name is not showing to us Deepa Verma. So, if that there is another name, please let us know. Or maybe it is a college name.
Okay.
There is only one device which is showing us Deepa Verma.
Yes.
Just a minute, ma'am. Just a minute.
So from your view, if you go there, participants list, your name will be showing to you. You can rename from there also.
Yeah, I'm renaming myself. I'll put my name. Okay. See, ma'am, I have done my renaming of my second device again, Dr. Deepa Verma. So that becomes easy.
Let me just check, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you are there.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I've made you the co-host through that device also. Now you're the co-host through both your devices. So
Okay,
you may
thank you.
share your screen, ma'am, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is giving me a lot of problems. Okay, is my screen visible to all?
Ma'am, just give us a second. Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah. Let me just go to the first slide. I hope it's visible to all now.
Yes, ma'am, it's perfect.
Yeah. So finally, we've overcome the challenge because the topic is all about challenges only. So, proceed for the entire session. I would like to know whether it has to be completely in English or Hindi. English is something that people are comfortable with because I'm pretty comfortable with both the languages. So, Mandeep
Dr.
ma'am,
Deepa, people are also absolutely comfortable with the English language. So you can continue as per your convenience. One suggestion, if you feel that there is a lag between somewhere in your internet, you can switch off your camera because your voice. So please continue. Thank you.
Yeah, the bandwidth will help me to save a lot of problems connected to the audio. Ma'am. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you, Dr. Deepa. We can hear you.
What I've done is I've switched off my to connect with all of you. So in case I have an issue, I'll keep on checking. The major topic here is obviously challenges that we're looking at and what I've been facing, challenge. Quality concerns, yes, important. So before we proceed, I actually want to know as to what is your understanding of open education resources. Okay, what is an OE? What is open educational resource? Participants definitely resources.
So what is your idea about something that is an open educational resource? Any idea? You can put in the chat. Open education resources are nothing are available online, which are having certain concerns. Which are available online into some or the other form. Now, if you look at the image, there are 5 R's of open education resources. You must have obviously learned resource people earlier. That can be reused, revised. Some materials that can be remixed, and materials that need to be redistributed. Now, all these things are covered under certain CC licenses, which are also called as maybe which are available. Process are available and which are these are also. Now we move ahead. Who all use OER? May I please know whether or not you as teachers, you as faculty members, do you yes or a no in the chat box would suffice that answer. Do you use open education resources or have and the people are not responding?
Dr. Deepa, your voice is distorted. Actually, we can't all hear you clearly. Even the question is not coming clear. Can you hear me in continuation? Dr. Deepa, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I think there is a lot of net lag from your side because the even sentences are not going clear. Probably the participants cannot hear your question, full question clearly. Okay. But I must make you aware the previous session was all about OER benefits, or different types, and even R's also were well defined. So if you wish to proceed, you can.
Okay, so am I audible clearly now?
Much better, much better.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure that everybody here who is a participant is a teacher and they have been using open education resources in some way or the other. I'm pretty sure that everybody has had the benefits of using an open educational resource. Okay, so let's just move ahead with the fact that what are the challenges and the quality concerns with respect to open education resources. Now, one of the most important concern is the quality. Now, when we look at quality, what exactly are we looking at? There are so many repositories which are available online where you will find a number of open educational resources. Now, whether or not that repository has a resource that is of my use, that is something which is going to help me in developing my lessons, is there anything in that repository that is going to enhance the quality of my lessons? Whether or not something that is going to help me as an add-on value to the already available information that I have for my topic. So what happens when there are so many repositories that are available? They have a lot of free access given to so many people. where people are allowed to create their own account, where people are allowed to curate the available content as per their knowledge. So it so happens that when somebody who must have not put a focus on quality as a parameter for developing the content and then posting it into the repository, and me as a teacher start using such low quality material may definitely affect how the entire teaching as well as the learning process is getting completed. So it becomes really very imperative on our part to actually look around for repositories where quality content are being made available. Now, you cannot just rely on something that you come across one paper or one video or one article or one image or something that is relevant to your need. But when you actually look at the quality, you may find it that it is not suiting your requirement. It is as simple as when we go to purchase anything outside on a day-to-day basis, even something as our regular shopping of vegetables as well as fruits, we always test. We don't taste it there, we test it. We test it with respect to the firmness of the fruit, to the color of the fruit, and we select the best quality. The reason being, you would always want something that is going to be beneficial for you. So this is also one of the major concerns when it comes to open educational resources, because anybody who has open access to such resources for its curation may end up doing probably a damage to it also. The most wide example is Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia is something where everybody has been relying so much. But Wikipedia has given access to so many curators, so many educators, so many researchers to edit, add, cut the content that is available online. So, whenever you do Google search, the first hit always is Wikipedia. So, if the teacher does not take additional effort to actually go through the content of Wikipedia or alike, there is a possibility that you may end up accessing irrelevant or data which is inaccurate. So this is one of the major issues when it comes to the data, that is quality issues. I hope, Mandeep ma'am, I am audible as well as...
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Deepa ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. So if the participants are with me and they agree with me that yes, Wikipedia cannot be considered as the only authentic source of being an authentic information database or a repository, please put a Y in the chat box, a yes nomenclature as Y in the chat box. So I know that you also have gone through certain issues and certain challenges when you had to develop your content. I hope participants would agree to this, that you cannot be relying every time on whatever is available at the click of Google. Moving ahead with another concern. What is going to be another concern when it comes to your open education resource? Every teacher will have to take an extra effort, will have to go an extra mile. Now, given the kind of challenges that we face as teachers, given the challenges, the kind of work that we currently have with respect to the newer changes that are happening in the entire education scenario, how much time does it actually leave with us? Either to create my own content, B, whether or not what is available online into form of an open educational resource, whether or not it is as per my need. Do I have that much of time to download it, to modify it, to check it, to verify whether or not it has any copyright or any licenses, whether or not it is compatible with the LMS that I am using in my institution, and whether or not my institution or my university is ready for something like that. So that becomes really a daunting task for a teacher when it comes to adapting as well as adopting open educational resources. It is always easier said than done. We always say that there is so much of data that is available online. Why not make the use of it? But when in the given 5 or 8 hours time that I am in my institution, I'm supposed to not only teach my students, conduct practicals, do a lot of administrative work, do a lot of research. Now, to go that extra mile to create an open education resource or even to make it a part of my day-to-day teaching practice, it is a big challenge. And this is one of the major challenges because here the major role is that of you and me. The ones who are the instructional providers. Designers are the ones who make it available online. But if I have to adapt to it, if I have to adopt in my classroom, I should be comfortable with it first. And that comfort comes from the very fact whether or not I have time on my hand, and even before that, whether or not I am ready to go that extra mile. It is absolutely in our hands to adopt open educational resources in our classroom. Let's move to the next concern or the challenge. It is also something where definitely you and me come into picture. How open educational resource can become one of the major challenge. Now, when there are certain self-reading content, when there are certain videos that are made available, and students are asked to go to the same, the teacher posts it in the Google Classroom or on the LMS. The students are asked to go through the content. What is one thing that we lack over here is the one-to-one interaction. How many of you agree that one-to-one interaction in a classroom setup actually helps us to develop that connection between us and our students? How many of you believe that that is the most comfortable thing when there is a discussion that takes place in the classroom? How many of you feel? Please put it in the chat box. How many of you feel? I'm sure that a few of you definitely must be feeling. I would appreciate if you can put it in the chat box. Mandeep madam, am I going too fast or is comprehension not taking place? Is it like that?
Dr. Deepa, the session is going on very well. But I assume in some of the colleges, because it's getting projected, so students are, or the learners are away from the devices. That's why we are not getting the responses. So it's getting only
Fine.
projected on the screen.
Fair enough. So I guess, I mean, at least you as a teacher can definitely understand and maybe answer this on behalf of everybody, that one-to-one interaction is something when I stand in the classroom and when I can see the responses on my students' face, when they are shown something, when they are involved with the discussion. This is something that every teacher misses when you ask the student to just go online, watch a video. How much of the understanding has actually taken place to the student is something that we all are wondering. Because when I stand in the classroom and when I see a frowning face, I understand that the student has not understood what I'm trying to teach. Or maybe the student has got disconnected from my session. But so is the case, which may not happen when we ask our students to refer to the open educational resources on their own, as per their convenience, as per their pace. So this becomes a challenge. This becomes one of the major challenges when it comes to use of open educational resources, this lack of human interaction. And, in today's world of artificial intelligence and machine learning, what slowly is happening is the interactions that used to take place between two individuals. We have probably started interacting more with machines and gadgets, but less with humans. But when it comes to teaching, I guess this is something that should never be eliminated out, interactions, because that is where we can comprehend and we can connect with each other. So I'm sure all of you will definitely agree with this fact that open education resources definitely can become a challenge when interaction is concerned. Let's move ahead with the next challenge. Something that I have been facing since some time today, the technological issues. Obviously, this can become one of the major challenges. What if students who do not have access to internet? What if students who come from certain socioeconomic backgrounds where learning itself is a challenge, let alone having technology as an option? In such institutions, how does open educational resource be made available? Absolutely impossible. If a student has to watch a YouTube video or get connected to a live session like how currently we all are connected, there are many institutions where it is going live. It is going live on the YouTube as well. And if somebody who does not have access to high-speed internet, or the internet connectivity is very weak, unstable, there is a possibility that we may not get access to an information that may be relevant to me, my students, for enhancing their knowledge. There is a possibility that certain open education resources may open or may play or may get displayed only if my system has a certain specific type of software. So in case of, say, maybe some open books, certain open books may require certain digital software. And if my institution does not have, if my dear students do not have access to such softwares, definitely they are going to be deprived of the opportunity of getting access to such quality open educational resources. So technology, yes, can become one of the major challenge when it comes to open educational resource. Technology is a big boon, but it can become the biggest pain or the pain also as a hindrance also when it comes to the entire teaching learning process. Costing, affordability, pricing, money, everything is going to play a role when it comes to technology. Technology comes at its own cost. So this becomes one of the major challenges. Moving ahead. Absolutely an important challenge which you and me cannot overcome. Now, if I'm not wrong, majority of the students who are attending over here are teacher trainers or teacher trainees, are from education colleges. We all eventually face this as a major problem in our regular teaching, let alone open educational resources. Language and cultural barriers. If my students come from a vernacular medium where they are only Hindi speakers or Marathi speakers or Punjabi speakers or any other local language speakers, and if I give them an open education resource which is not into the language of their comfort, what is going to be the use of the same? So this is a big barrier. Now at times what happens, how does cultural barrier come into picture? Now if you come across certain open education resources which are developed into a country of origin like maybe a US and all, it has been created keeping into mind the people of that region probably, the accessibility of that region, the ethnicity and the cultural relevance of that region. So the choice of language, the choice of visuals, the choice of content that may be there in their open educational resource may not be acceptable culturally in my setup, in my country, in my hometown, in my school, in my university. Maybe because it is probably inappropriate for the audience here. It is just like how when you go to watch a movie, every movie comes with a certificate, whether it is for a 13 plus audience, whether it is for a 15 plus audience, or whether it is a universal thing where everybody can watch, or whether it is only for adults. That means there are going to be certain sections or certain parts of that movie which may not be appropriate for a certain age group of the audience. So is the case for open educational resource also. If a non-English speaker is asked to refer to an English open educational resource, which is high of grammar, high of English linguistic empowerment, then definitely the rate at which it will be rejected by such audiences is going to be higher. I don't want to refer to something which is not going to help me when it comes to my lessons or my understanding. So language as well as cultural acceptance and cultural relevance are definitely going to be a very big issue when it comes to OERs. People are just not going to adapt to it and let alone adopting it as a part of their teaching learning process. So there is a need, my dear colleagues, there is a need of people like you and me to try to curate and translate such quality OERs into a language of relevance for our audiences. So there is such a big market that is available online where you and me
can take additional efforts of translating such contents by taking due permission from those authors into a language of acceptance by the local people. So language and cultural barriers are going to play a major role when it comes to challenge. If you're able to overcome this, nothing better than that. This is again that I was talking about. When we talk about technology as a problem, we also have to understand that there are certain open educational resources which are available only in static formats. Static formats means formats which are really difficult, A, either to be downloaded, B, to access them, and C, to modify those content. So when such OERs are available, and believe me, there are so good quality OERs available which are there in static formats, but due to these problems, the adoption of such OERs is a major challenge because of its accessibility. Because I cannot modify the content as per relevance of my setup. I cannot access it, I cannot modify it as per relevance of my students. So in that case, the only thing that is left is we will have to contact those owners or those publishers for seeking their permission and asking them whether or not they'll be allowing us access to a more easy to modify content of theirs. However, this is going to be, and this will become still a challenge no matter what, unless everything is made available into public domain, free, downloadable in any format one wishes it to be downloaded. So this becomes one of the major challenges. Moving ahead, IPRs. Now here, although I've mentioned about how United States, because somehow when it comes to laying down rules across world, US plays a major role, when it comes to FDA, when it comes to regulatory authorities, when it comes to Creative Commons licenses and everything. United States have been playing a major role. Now, there is something called as fair use. In inverted commas, it is written as fair use. Now, this is a word which comes with conditions. There is always a disclaimer written like how it is written in mutual funds, to very small handwritings. That means you have access to it, but it comes under fair use. So fair use means what? What licenses does it have? Whether or not it violates any copyright laws, whether it is with any kind of Creative Commons or any kind of derivatives or any kind of commercial attributes associated with it. So whenever there is a conditions apply, believe me, my dear colleagues, my friends, we somehow openly use our content or create our content. And if there is an infringement of somebody's IP, somebody's intellect, somebody feels that somebody has encroached upon their intellectual property, believe me, people can be taken to court of law. There is a high price to be paid in such cases where their copyright laws are being violated. So one has to be very careful whenever we share something, whether or not we attribute the author, whether or not were there any conditions laid on those content,
we have to be very much sure about all these things. And if we are ignorant about all these things, our ignorance can cause us a lot of problems in the court of law. And I'm pretty sure we don't have that much of time to keep on fighting for something that we must have done out of our sheer ignorance about the content. So this becomes a major challenge when open education resources are concerned. People feel that if I click on Google and if Google gives me everything is freely available. No, anything that is there does not mean that it is free for your use. Everything comes with its fair price. Everything comes with its fair chance. So you have to check for any kind of copyright that might be associated with whether it is an article or whether it is an audio, whether it is a podcast, whether it is a book, whether it is a YouTube video. Everything comes with its own disclaimers. So IP copyrights concerns are very important, and they are one of the major challenges when it comes to open education resources. Moving ahead. Sustainability issues. Okay. Now, everything that we have looked before everything narrows down to something as important as this particular slide. I am putting my time. I am taking so much of effort in creating high quality content. And when I make it available to people, whether or not I'll be honored for it with respect to certain monetary benefits, or whether or not if somebody is going to use the content that I am doing, I have created, whether or not if they create a commercial content out of my freely available content, whether or not they'll share some royalty with me, whether or not I'll get certain incentives. So it really becomes so very important that because there is no money generally involved in content open educational resources, people generally refrain in putting their time in creating content that is available free of cost. And if they do create really good content, they may want certain clauses associated with it with respect to the licensing part, whether it is going to be a CC BY, whether it is going to be a CC BY SA, or whether it is going to be a CC BY NC-ND, non-commercial, non-derivative. So there are so many different types of licensing that Gomti Madam must have discussed with you. All these things will come into picture when it comes to incentives and the monetary benefit that I may get as an author of an open educational resource. So how much will I be able to sustain the quality is very important with respect to the open educational resource. The quality is definitely going to be compromised in due course of time if the free content is being commercially derived and money is made by a third party, but not the original content creator. So definitely sustainability issues is one of the biggest challenges, apart from whatever challenges that we have studied or we have come across in the previous slides. So that brings us to the end of, I tried to keep it as minimum as possible because I want a few minutes for discussing with all of you. Now we all have to understand that technology, COVID has taught us so much. COVID has taught us how technology can be integrated with our day-to-day teaching. But COVID has also taught us that we cannot be eliminating the thought of reaching to the student who resides in the remotest part of a village where internet is a challenge, where technology is a challenge, where access is a challenge. So there is a need of creating open education resources by overcoming all these challenges, one after the another, and making it available in such a way that no child or no teacher for that matter is deprived of the access to high quality content when it comes to open education resources. So if you have any questions, maybe you can send it to Mandeep ma'am and they can mail it to us, or you can ask the questions now here itself, not a problem. Thank you so much, Mandeep ma'am. And I hope I could, with all those challenges that I faced, I could at least make every single teacher, trainee sitting out there in the respective institutions at least start thinking that challenges are
Dr. Deepa, again, yes, again, I think in...
Yes, ma'am, you were saying something, ma'am.
Yes, I was saying that only. I think in between voice goes off, but very well taken up the session right from the beginning, like you said, creating the content and presenting it to the people, and till earning money out of your content and looking into all the aspects of licensing, and the information cannot be always reliable. That was the biggest challenge which you have mentioned. And then attitude for extra efforts which teachers will have to put in now, because quarter past of 21st century, and the century which we are talking about, this is a century of technology. Teachers will have to get adapted to the living with technology, and teachers will have to adopt technology in their day-to-day teaching learning processes. So 5 minutes we still have. I request the participants, if any further questions, any clarity, or any opinion which you want to share, or if you wish to share your own experiences also as challenges, not only the question to the resource person, but some of you, if you have any challenges, you can be sharing even that also. Yes,
Vijay Grover sir has written that intellectual inertia. Yes, absolutely. When we go into a state of staticness, or we go into a state of inertia, and as a teacher, first it begins with me, as Mandeep madam very rightfully mentioned, that if we don't try to change with the changing times, and if we don't try to understand the fact that if I don't move along with it, I may become a part of the past. Because we cannot be denying the fact that we are living in a digital world where everything is so much available online, that what is right and what is wrong is something that now we have to come across, because there's so much information that is available online. And whether or not it is for me, or whether it is meant for my use, is something that we all will definitely have to look at it. We cannot take that as an excuse that, nahi baba, I cannot do it because I don't have time. I have lectures to take, I have practicals to take, and I have NAC work to do, because you all are busy with so much of NAC work. Yes, this is going to be there. But then what beyond that? Because I personally believe that, I always tell my teachers also, that my mere existence as a teacher, or I am known as a teacher because there are some people who are known as students. The day students cease to exist, that day my existence as a teacher ceases. I will no longer be called a teacher. So for my own existence, I guess I have to be definitely be changing with changing times. So yes, Vijay Grover sir very rightly said that intellectual inertia and that I know everything and the world knows nothing also should be overcome. And yes, we have to. Anybody else? At least maybe another 2 minutes time if people can say that during lockdown, whether or not they have used any open educational resource or they have themselves created it for their students. Because we all did so much of work during lockdown. And I guess teachers were the most ignored community during lockdown by everybody in the world, despite the fact that teachers did not stop teaching. Teachers ensured that we were technology so disabled. There were teachers who were almost on the verge of retirement. They learned so many new technologies just because they wanted to get connected to the students online. And yet, nobody during COVID period thanked the teacher community. So I guess we are the biggest, like medical professionals during that time. We were also the saviors of education and humanity during COVID period.
So I must add to what Dr. Deepa is saying that teaching community was most effective, efficient at that point of time. Otherwise, government was all on the verge of declaring it as a 0 year, which could have been a biggest loss of student community. So, Dr. Deepa, I feel student community is much thankful to teachers who made this possible for them, who passed out from their PGs, UGs, whatever classes they were in. Finally, it was all decided that examination will be online, and we saved our students 1 year of their professional degrees. So teachers actually worked and learned a lot. As you said it, that every teacher whosoever was, even if they were on the verge of retirement, but they learned technology. And I would say that's the time, that's the need of the hour. We will have to get adapted to the changes in the technology. So if any more viewpoint or if any other opinion is coming forward, then we can be discussing on that. Otherwise, I think time is well covered up with lot of learning from today's session. So if any other participant wants to share any viewpoint, so you are most welcome. Portal is open to all of us. Okay, then I think it's time to close today's session. So Dr. Deepa Verma, on behalf of the organizing team, GHG Khalsa College of Education, Gurusar Sadhar, I, on behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, Mumbai, we all convey to you thanks for participating and taking over today's afternoon session. Thank you for your inputs and thank you for all the aspects, all the dimensions you have covered up for today's session. Although there were challenges which you personally felt it that there are challenges, but the topic itself was on the challenges, and we know we have overcome the technological challenges in the session. So thank you so much once again to the organizing team and to all the participants for the successful achievement of this FDP, which is very close to its completion. It's 1 day remaining. Dr. Manu has already mentioned that tomorrow there will be only one session. After that, followed by valedictory, where we will be having most of the principals who will be available to address the audience and to address the participants of this FDP. So once again, great achievement of GHG College. for collaborating with 9 colleges, which was not an easy task, but almost covering all the sessions, all the days so successfully. And tomorrow's will be the last session. See you all once again tomorrow. Have a nice day. Goodbye for today. Thank you to all. Stay connected till tomorrow.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Deepa. Thank you for being there. Thank you, Dr. Mandeep. And very truly, this FDP could be successful, no doubt, with 9 collaborating colleges, but it was actually successful because of all the collaborating institutions. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, Dr. Deepak. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. You all can easily say now, Jammu se Kashmir tak India ek hai. So that's how so beautifully the FDP is going on. Yes. So thank you. Goodbye once again. Organizers can put off this Zoom meeting now.
Thank you. Thank you.